you do not have to care about people that don't care about you. They can unfollow you, or they can think that you are a big chatterbox and writing every day. And that's fine. That's not your market.
So hello everyone, and today we have Giovanni on Startup Sales Talks podcast.
I don't.
How are you, Giovanni? How was the event yesterday? I'm glad that we met.
Very interesting. A lot of people from the sales community in Lithuania. So that was the funniest part, I would say. And yeah, big news for us. We were told that the old way things are done is probably not going to work as well in the future. So that was a huge bomb, I would say, and yeah, made me reflect, made us, all of us reflect, I guess. So, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and we met. That's nice.
Yeah. And yeah, it's really nice to have these events in Vilnius and to meet everyone in one place, and it was really cool. Anyway, but Giovanni, you have a colorful career in sales. So can you walk us through your journey in B2B tech sales?
It starts a long time ago in Italy, so you can already imagine that atmosphere. In 2016, I worked for 1 year for a company that was selling wooden fire ovens in Europe and in the US, and I was assigned to France. Before that, I studied in France. I did a master about becoming an export sales manager. So I started there, and I understood two things. I understood that yes, I will use languages in my future career, and I think I have a few talents that go well in this profession. So I better bet on this and see where it goes. Then my life changed pretty much because I met my wife at the time, and I moved to Lithuania, to Vilnius, and I was not really credible as a salesperson, apparently. Also, I am Italian, so there is a stigma, there is a stereotype to that. Let's be fair. And I had a profession. I worked 2 years for Barclays, working in HR. I always wanted to come back to sales, and then I steered my career to sales and to technology. And in 2019, I worked for 1 year. Actually, just reflecting, I'm probably messing up with the dates. I'm getting old, Dom. Anyway, somewhere around that time, I worked for 1 year for a Lithuanian company that was providing software development services in Europe. And I worked in a incredibly difficult field, defense, space industry. I was the lead for space industry in Europe. So completely out of blue. And then I joined Interactio, where my career mostly developed. So I spent there almost 3 years. I grew there. I managed a business unit, was generating $1.5 million a year. I managed people. I loved that. It was a fantastic part of my career, I guess. A very high growth environment, a very difficult time, but also pretty rewarding. And then I had a couple of other experiences in Oxylabs, in Spike Technologies, most recently. And I started thinking about this for a year, I guess, which was last year, about going fractional. And I found a niche in the market where, let's say, like what you do at GrowTech is maybe not functioning as well because they are too early. This is my assumption as well, because they are too early to have a business model such as in, I don't know, predictable revenue by Aaron Ross, so that kind of sales box. But also their CEOs are more like in early stages and they want to do it on their own. So they don't see the benefit of like still going for something more than that. So there is a space in the middle and I'm trying to position myself there. And it's working. Like I'm working with a few clients now and pretty happy about everything. I think it's teaching me a lot about the future of work. and how this is gonna be looking like for a lot of people, not only me. Yeah, that's pretty much everything until this point, I guess. So I'm still, as I always like to say, I'm always at day zero. So I like to consider myself always as a beginner, and I'm learning every day. Every day is a new start. So yeah, that's me until today. So
Yeah,
far.
stay
So
tuned to be continued.
oh yes, oh yes. Please be, especially on LinkedIn where I'm a big chatterbox, so you can follow my adventures. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And Giovanni, I think you joined the Interactio before the Series A or after
yeah.
Series A?
Before, I think
Before.
a year and a half before Series A. I never got this right, but I was, I think, around employee number 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the beginning of the pandemic, and there was a huge growth in the company,
Mm-hmm.
and it was challenging but rewarding. To give you, and I made this calculation by myself. I think it's entertaining maybe for the audience. I think I spoke with almost 1,000 people in 2020, like 1,000 clients. And when you get exposed to that amount of conversations, you learn something. You speed up your growth. You just like I always say, like for me, 2020 is like 3 years of sales experience, because I got exposed to that. And one thing that I particularly like in that experience in there is that we specialized in verticals later on. So for many time, for very large amount of time, I got exposed to different kind of clients, enterprise, small and medium businesses, mid-market, event organizers, the companies, institutions. So that was uh, that was very good because it taught me one lesson, uh, and the lesson is to know what you don't like is as equally important as to know what you like. And if you discover fast what you don't like, you're off there. You understood like already what you will not do, and uh, that's that's a double-edged lesson, because once you understand what you don't like, it becomes increasingly difficult to be exposed to what you don't like. And we don't get often to choose, but and sometimes we have to do things we don't particularly enjoy. But it's I guess it's good to know, to keep in the back of your head like what you're good at and what you don't like and what you would like to do more. So yeah,
Yeah, I
a
think
little bit kind of relates.
yeah, to join the startup, especially before or after these rounds, are super challenging experience for any sales leader. I think I used to have that experience for a few times. Series A and kind of more maybe Series B as well. But like that hyper growth mentality that okay, guys, we really need to push now.
Yeah,
I mean, it squeezes the juices out of you, and it's very rewarding, but on the other hand, it's very exhausting as well. So,
yeah, it is.
uh,
It is.
and Giovanni, so what motivated you just to pursue the sales career in general? Because
Okay.
it's not easy, obvious. It's a very challenging mentally, and you need to have a stamina. You need to work with yourself constantly. So, what kept you going through all those years?
There are a couple of things. It's a very, very insightful question, Dom. So it will take it a bit to dismantle it and to answer. Uh, One part is surely related to the fact that our profession is a very, how should I say it? In a way, it's very cruel. Like it's about numbers, and it's about very clear KPIs, and we're all confronted against that. This is for sure frightening and difficult, but it's also it's a very honest way to go about work. I worked not in sales in my career, so I know like I pretend to know like what it is like the other side, and my experience with that, it's not positive, because when you don't talk at the end of the day about numbers, and in any profession, by the way, and you explore performance with words and understanding and just stating a few things, taking facts, with taking a few facts. So that's not really like interesting to me. That was never interesting to me. And before becoming a salesperson, I worked as a journalist. Nobody knows this. It's not on LinkedIn, so it's still secret.
Something
And I
new.
worked for a journalist for 3 years. And then I already experienced like what does it mean to work for a profession that it's not really about a clear KPI that you can analyze and you can agree on and you can do more of something and it gives you more results. So this dimension says I felt in love with it and I'm not ready to leave that anytime soon. Like I love that part of my job. I think it's very good to have something you have control on, something you can study, improve, like a scientist. No, Josh Brown always says, "Be a scientist." It's true. We are scientists. We work with numbers. Yeah. The other part, it's a bit of a different story. It's a bit. We go in the past, so we're traveling back in time. When I was a kid, I always liked to create things from scratch. When I was 10 years old, I took my father's camera and I shoot a full film movie with my brother. Or I have several of these experiences in my life. Like when I was 14, I made a blog and I took 10 people from my class. We made that blog explode in my town, and it was like everywhere. A small Italian town. So I like to create, and what I love of sales is that if you wouldn't be there in front of your client in that moment, speaking about your business, solving their problem, doing something together, that wouldn't exist. You literally create business. Like you can have the most beautiful idea on earth, but if you're not there creating it with your clients, it doesn't exist. Before you exist, it doesn't exist. So for me, that's highly fascinating about what we do. We are creating constantly. That's that makes me smile even now after almost 10 years in the game. So I think I will stick with that. I love that component. That's beautiful. So you can relate with that, perhaps.
That's very interesting perception, actually, to how to look
Okay.
at this field.
Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I thought, and for me it was a bit different story because my both parents working in sales 25 plus years.
Wow.
So it was very natural for me. I didn't understand in the childhood like what I want to do. I thought that I would become a doctor or pharmacist, but it just came so natural. Like some kind of decisions in life just led to that field. And when I was in the office, it was like smells like childhood because my parents always took me to the office because they worked a lot.
That's nice. Okay.
So
Wow.
that was a kind of the story behind, and I don't regret it, and my parents are kind of, I'm teaching them right now how to do
Yeah,
certain
can you
things.
imagine? Next generation, so you know a lot of stuff, new stuff. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and what were like memorable experiences that stuck in your head throughout your career?
I was reflecting a lot about this before we met, and probably if I have to name one, there is this scene that I have in my head. When I started sales, I was given this desk in a corner because I was the youngest one in the office, and like nobody really cared. They were like, "Oh, the guy is doing a few things," and I was assigned an area where they were doing not as well. So it's like solve this problem, and I was left in that corner for 6 months, and I was pretty much isolated. I was out though. I was out, but I would work mostly in French, and I would work mostly in a very old-fashioned way because my vertical were building material resellers. So very people like in their 50s or 60s, not really familiar sometimes with emails. So it was pure cold calling with a full list. You just make it happen in French. So that's like also very few people can understand what you're doing. Just pretend you know that you're doing something that you understand. And I was left there for 6 months. And why this is memorable and why this is relevant for us, because I was left there with the opportunity to make a lot of mistakes. And I probably did a million mistakes. I don't even realize the scale of how wrong I was. The result was good. They were happy about it, but like I was left there with a problem and like the freedom to solve it. And I still, when I'm like doubtful, I'm like doubting about all of this, or like I'm giving up, almost I'm like I should give this up. No, it doesn't work. I always remind about that moment, because that moment is like what I think our profession should be about. It's like our profession is very lonely. Like we have teams, we have managers caring about us. The business is happy if we are happy, but like at the end of the day, we are very much lonely, and it's both a good and a bad thing. So for me, that moment, that young kid like doing a lot of mistakes, trying it out, getting yelled, learning how to do a cold call. That's like that's a lot about what I think our work is about, and yeah, that's very memorable. Then I have more fancy, memorable moments. If you want me to spill the beans, I can do that. But yeah, probably I go there with my mind when asked.
Okay, so like you remember that. I mean, everyone probably who did cold calling in the beginning of their careers, they remember that very vividly.
Sure.
Because it built this kind of thick skin and resilience.
Yes.
And you're not the first one actually on this podcast who had that experience and became
Nice.
successful in the field. Yeah,
yeah. Happy to. Yeah, I think it's pretty common. You know, I think it's pretty common, and yeah, the lesson it teaches is that. I mean, this is a beautiful lesson, Dom. For me, nobody cares. This is wonderful. Nobody cares about you. So you can screw it up. You can not understand a lot of things. You can try your best, because nobody really cares, like by default. And yeah, this is what that lesson taught me. Probably, I think cold calling is still a way to make a living, and I know many successful people that are doing it regularly and getting good things out of that. I still do it sporadically. It works for me. I make it work. But you know, how much time do we spend in front of each other in our work? Tons of times in front of strangers. And the cold call is the most you can get close to a stranger that you can get. You know, you just like you whisper in their ears. So once you've done that, you can do everything, I guess. That's how people think about it. That's why they let us do that at the beginning. So
yeah, it's a very powerful tool actually, if you use it wisely. And maybe, since our audience is a lot of from the startup world, can you share a memorable experience from your times in Interactio?
Sure.
Probably there's plenty of crazy moments, but maybe you can share one or two that really kind of made an impact on you.
Yeah, there are. There was a moment where we understood that things were getting serious. Like there is a before this moment and there is an after this moment. And I guess this is a few months before Series A approached. And I'm talking about sales. So what I think really worked in Interactio at that time, aside from, wonderful product market fit, but, you can read that on internet. This is what I think added on the top, is that we had a very close and very well-driven sales team. The people of that team, and I'm speaking like about pre-Series A team, we are still all connected. We are still friends. We still help each other. We still feel part of the team. This is the point. Like if I would call the guy, it's like if I'm back in time. I'm back at that exact time. And even if, as in any company, there were personal dynamics, you like a guy more, you don't like a guy as much as that one. That's fine. That's fine. but it felt like a team. And I still remember there was this huge call where there was probably at that point 10 of us, 15 of us, and we all felt like stuff was getting serious. And from that point on, things were going to change and evolve and grow. And what was asked from us was different. So I have this memorable moment, like this serious meeting, like, hey guys, let's get in a room, talk about the future, because the future is gonna be different. Yeah, other memorable moments were probably like, at least for me, we were a remote company. I think we still are. I still call we, because I still feel part of the team, even if I'm not more part of them. We were a remote company, and imagine me starting during the pandemic, and then you can come back to the office a bit. And I'm a big office lover. I find it efficient for me. So I come to the office, and the office is a few people sitting in. There is a few people sitting in Talent Garden in Vilnius, the office of one of the best working space in Vilnius, in my humble opinion. So we are sitting there, and the thing we quite didn't realize is that behind the screen, a company is shaping up, like a full-fledged company with 100 people and more. I guess it's scaled up to 200 or more even. And I guess in 2021, probably, but even later, yeah, there were a few moments where like, let's meet on site, and even like the team on site in Vilnius. And when we saw people abroad that just came in, we realized like, this is not what we think it is. This is like real people, and there is way more. So that seeing that from like just not seeing that and imagining that was a huge memorable moment. Like when we see all these people lined up, it's like, okay, like this stuff is pretty much serious. Yeah, that was memorable, surely, for me.
Yeah, I had the same one actually. I remember I like when I became a SDR team lead in
Yes.
PVKs, and it was like April 2020. So it was first wave of the COVID, and they met my team only after maybe 3 or 4 months, like in reality, and it was like, oh, these people are real. There's not like the boxes on my screen. Very
Yes.
interesting experience. Just a transition from that, when the relationship builds online, and then you kind of transition to the real world. Um, Anyway, so Giovanni, and you made a decision now to become a fractional sales
Yeah.
leader, meaning that you gave up of your juicy compensation, nice perks,
Yes.
like all these
Yes.
things, right?
Yes. Say it loud. Sure.
Say it loud.
Security, safety. Yeah. Tomorrow is gonna be like yesterday, more or less. No. In a month from now,
Yeah.
yeah, more or less. 3 months from now, more or less. Oh. So yeah, you're asking how it is, right? How it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, how does
Say
it
it again.
feels like? Yeah, and why would person should consider that in the first place?
Oh.
Because I mean, there's a plenty of sales leaders in the market. I think that they have that, let's say,
Mhm.
experience, capability. They saw a lot of different stages of the startups, but very rarely someone takes that brave step action,
But
and they go to work as a freelance, or they create business. And I'm very curious to hear your mind framework
okay.
and why you did that, and
Uh-huh.
what would be your message for the people who are potentially considering that as well.
Uh, it's a very, very beautiful question, Dom. Thanks for asking. I think there are a lot of variables into play. Before I start about me, I think that not everybody should do fractional work or become a fractional lead, but I actually also think that everybody will do fractional work at some point. So that's a bit scary. I think what we didn't realize what some people didn't realize is that the pandemic didn't change the world of work just in terms of like, where do I work? I work from home or I work from an office? It's not just about that. I think it made people understand that one thing that, when I say this, by the way, I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm just expressing a fact. Work is a commodity. This is, by the way, like you can love your work, you can love your coworkers, you can love a company. I do love all these things in my life. I have these loves, but work is still a commodity. And it is a commodity 200 years ago when you worked in a factory and you went to the factory, did a couple of, things and then came back home. And it is work even if when you are on a computer screen helping a CEO sell. So work is a commodity. And when you realize this, it feels like taking the limitless pill. Like you immediately understand, like, okay, what I see is different. And why? Because a commodity, commodities is like, I don't know, sugar or wood, as a quantity and a price. So when you understand that equation, the only question you have to ask yourself is, am I content with the way I am paid, with the way I spend my time? If your answer to this question doesn't add up, then fractional is the answer. Because you will realize ultimately that the value you have is closely related to your positioning. And if work is a commodity, you're a product. So if your product is in the shelf of employees, then the price range is certain, it's given, and the quantity is also given. Like you're committing 8 hours with the employer. And to go out of this framework is possible, indeed is possible, but is lengthy and is difficult. Like if you move within that frame, yes, you can get a promotion, you can get a salary increase, yes. You can get 10 promotions. Indeed, you can do that. But you move within a frame. And when you decide to go in a different shelf, like you're no more an employee, but you are a fractional lead, the value you can provide changes, and the value that the market attaches to it is different. So for me, it was probably like there were two variables that influenced me to do this. I saw an opportunity. Like I see that there are clients that benefit from this, and that the market is not really giving them this in a way. I saw also an opportunity into the fractional sales world. There are many fractional leads out there, but few of them do hands-on work. And now with a lot of conversations about efficiency, especially in the startup world, and being, capital savvy, not being, not splashing around money. So there is a need for this kind of people that are providing consultancy, yes, but also doing things and providing direct value, direct revenue. So this is where I'm placing myself as an opportunity. But I wouldn't be fair if I wouldn't dedicate some seconds to this. What I realize is that I can do 1, 2, 3, 4 steps within this world of work if I am an employee. Do I want to do this? Do I want to become head of sales in a company, doing all the path, and do I really want that? I do not. I do not. What I want is that, and I do not also because I saw that the value I can provide is way bigger than doing just that thing. And if I would play that game, I would probably now not have the opportunity to provide that as much as value as I can. So that's, Dom, when you ask a difficult question, you get a difficult answer, unfortunately. I wish it would be simpler. But to close it up, probably for our audience, the message here is that we've seen the world of work changing in 2020. In technology, we see layoffs, and it's part of the business, by the way, but it just teaches a lesson, which once again is not negative, is that work is a commodity. We can decide what to do about that. That's what I would like to give as a message to our audience. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, we're living in very interesting times because layoffs itself, it's not a bad thing because
Yeah,
a lot of talent are being released to the market, different
it's true.
talent,
That's true.
sales, marketing, product, whatever. And these people are like, maybe I shouldn't go back, to my employee chair. Maybe we should create something. Maybe we should create some MVP and start to raise money. And when I speak with investors, same thing. They see a lot of people are being released from their juicy SOPs and juicy salaries and everything. So, I mean, probably the entrepreneurship, in the next few years should bloom even more after these layoffs.
Uh, One thing that I would probably give as an advice to people thinking about it, and that it helped me a lot. I actually helped myself with a coach on this topic, is not to confine your value within that framework. Like, you don't have to think that when you go fractional, you're still an employee, but a fractional employee. In terms of revenue, in terms of services, in terms of value, you have to go a bit beyond the role. And yeah, I'm trying to practice this exercise as much as I can. So it's an advice for everybody. Don't limit yourself to, hey, I am a product manager and I would like to do freelance work. You can do that. That's fine. That's fine. Like, try to zoom out and like see yourself like what you can do, what you can do for companies. How can you make a product out of your service? I think the real opportunity is that one. And if you're able to see that opportunity, then jump on that. Jump on that. There is a huge market coming up for this kind of things. By the way, I think the hardest will be for companies to adapt to the fact that work will be organized in this way in the future. That will be the real challenge. But every opportunity is a challenge, is a problem in this case. So maybe somebody will solve that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're already working with a few clients, and maybe can you share some of the breakthrough that maybe you made with a particular client, and you implemented specific, let's say, process or tool that leveled up sales for that
Uh,
founder
I
or sales
yeah,
lead.
like I saw this scene happen to me multiple times, probably 10 times, with different people behind the scene, but it's always the same scene. And the scene is something like this. They have done something in sales and they tell you their issue. And for them, their issue is tied with their knowledge of what the issue is and their capabilities. It's like they speak in Chinese because they only speak Chinese, and then I say one word in English language, and it helps their problem. And it's what I see happening a lot, and what I see happening a lot with clients in sales is that I am that guy who has a screwdriver and takes 5 seconds to fix it. And the client is like, wow, you solved an issue we had for 10 years and how you did that. And I'm providing you the 5 seconds, but I worked on this 10 years. So to answer your question with a real example, a client of mine just talked with me about their website and how they are struggling with inbound to qualify leads from their web. They get leads from their website, but they don't know how to qualify. And I guess I mentioned, I don't remember even which product I mentioned. I mentioned a few products that help with this, and they grab their notebook. They're like, no, wait a second. Okay, we got, yeah, this is, and Sure, you can do a Google search, but I already did 25 Google searches. I already tried all of them. I already know that this is going to work in this case. So, yeah, like now one part of my work is to advise on tools and to advise them on like the one thing that can change your sales process that they don't see. No? In another case, probably like to be once again concrete, because I know this is also important. And a big metaphor guy, Dom. So I hope your
That's fine.
audience doesn't mind. It's they. This is something a bit past, but still, they had a website, and the message on the website was very generic, very generic. Now the problem with that is that when your message is generic, it logically conveys what you do. So lesson one is not as bad. Like, okay, we understood what you do. This is good. But like when it is generic, you are attracting everybody to read it. You can have everybody there read it and understand it, and that's it. So we switched from this to having a statement where they said which problem they solved, to who, and how, in a very concise way. And this changed things. This changed things because their website was used in their demos, and they were like always opening their demos saying, we sell bananas for people that want a snack. They would be like, okay, if I want a snack, I need a banana. But they changed this to, we solve you this issue and we do it this and that way. And it completely framed their demos in another way. The conversation would flow completely different. And this took 5 minutes. This took 5 minutes of brainstorming and just chatting and experimenting. So yeah, this is another time where I help my clients probably do better and achieve better results in sales. Sometimes it doesn't take much. It takes 10 years of experience almost, but 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's why you are, that's why they hired you, I think,
Yes, it did.
You have different perspectives, on the same things that they see. Got it. And Giovanni, so a lot of people discovered and know you on the LinkedIn platform. And I must admit your content is really interesting. Yeah. And sometimes I engage, is like interesting call to actions from your posts. And you're sharing some small bits from your life, and yeah, it's really interesting to follow you on that platform. And
thanks.
It's not a secret that LinkedIn is becoming really powerful tool for sales. And so there's a few questions for you about LinkedIn. So first of all, what inspired you to create content there regularly? And second question is, how do you see salespeople could leverage it to do their job better?
If I rent land in Vilnius, it's my land, and nobody can be on that same land. No, if I decide to host a barbecue and invite the whole Grow Tech team, that would be pretty nice, by the way. It's just us. But on the internet and on social media, space is created. The cake gets bigger. You don't occupy anybody else. So the lesson here is, if I don't post daily, by the way, the world doesn't change and nobody dies, but maybe somebody else will write something interesting and you will take a few space. So like the space is there to be taken. And if you have one thing that you want to say to the world, there are many channels you can use, but about everything work and about everything professional, and not only, actually, to be fair, LinkedIn is a very easy to take space. Like yesterday we heard that Dream Data is making 1.4, it's sourcing 1.4 million euros in pipeline from organic LinkedIn content. Organic, my friend. So like it's very easy to take space for free on LinkedIn. And for me, my very inner motivation is that if I don't take that space, somebody else will take it. And maybe somebody else that I very disagree with, very much disagree with, or very much like would not like to be as much present in there. So if I don't talk about what I care, maybe somebody who talks about what I don't care will take a lot of space, and people will just follow. And my ideas and my takes on life and work will not be anywhere. Nobody will care. So this is my motivation. And honestly, like for me, uh, I posted very regularly in the past. Now I still post regularly, but probably not as daily. And I think I'm doing it wrong. I should post daily because I got a bit stuck, with this little me in my head telling, "Oh, you post daily, you bother people, you shouldn't do this as often. You're very present, what they will think about you." And the real answer, not only for me but for everybody out there, is you don't have to care, because you do not have to care about people that don't care about you. They can unfollow you, or they can think that you are a big chatterbox and writing every day, and that's fine. That's not your market. That's not who you're writing for. So the more you write and the more uh, different versions of you come up, and the more you can empathize and get to know people that are in your field, are like you, or even sometimes plainly disagree with you, and then you understand like what you really think about life, or maybe you change your mind sometimes. I have people like now in my real life from LinkedIn that I used to disagree greatly on LinkedIn. And we argued, and there are huge threads, and now we are friends. And maybe they were right at some point. So, yeah, to close it up, there is space to be taken. And if you have anything you care about, it's very easy to take space on LinkedIn and talk about what you care.
Yeah, and maybe you see some successful stories. Let's say how practically account executive or VP of sales leverage LinkedIn to drive sales.
Yes, I do from my personal experience. One advice is you should talk about your industry, maybe not about your product, but you should become a thought leader. You should say things. I posted about how many lakes there are in Lithuania. There are a lot of lakes in Lithuania. Not the biggest amount. There are a lot. The biggest amount is in Finland, but compared to Italy, for example, or many other countries, there are. And I posted about this, and I posted a photo of me having a bath. No, so one of the comments in this post was from a friend of mine who works in a huge corporation in Italy, and was my ICP and decision maker when I used to work in Interactive for a very large corporate. And he commented to that post. It's like, wow, looks very amazing. I'm following you in Lithuania. Very interesting to see your pics. We should catch up at some point. He slides in the DM and we start chatting, not about any product or anything. And after a while, he was a university pal of me. After a while, I ask about what he's doing, and he tells me that, we are trying to develop ourselves a solution to this problem, to make our own Interactive. Like, oh, how many developers you're hiring for this? Well, we juggle because they're not dedicated to this. But it's a team of 10. So I'm like, wow, you're using 10 people. That's very expensive. Yeah, it is expensive. Like, would you like to take a look? And he's like, oh, wow, this is cool. This is interesting. I don't want to brag much because life hits you in the face. Everybody has a plan until gets punched in the face, as the saying goes. That opportunity was not one, but it was a 70K opportunity, very, very big opportunity. And we went until the latest stage of it. And I didn't post about how to make interpretation very cool for the company. I posted about having a bath in Lithuania. So, yeah, this is don't be afraid of being yourself there, because for robotic self, there is the world is full. I mean, you can find full of people on LinkedIn that just their professional face is very clear. It's clear what they do, what they sell, what they want to sell you. All is clear. But try to be different. Try to be yourself. Yeah, a person is a person. Maybe with you, me and you, maybe we get together on sales, but maybe we support different sports team, or if we talk music, we are very different. Or If we talk food, maybe you're a big Italian food friend, like you end up talking about that. So you never know which angle of yours can be interesting for another person on the other side. And maybe that person, yes, if possible, it's a client. So yeah, that's my hot take about LinkedIn. Thought leader are boring. You can become a thought leader. You can aim at becoming a thought leader. Yes, you can. You can go there. But somewhere in the middle of that journey, remember that you are a person and the people around you are also people. So they will relate with you as a person, maybe, before they relate with you as a thought leader.
Yeah, and it's becoming really crowded platform. It's one of the fastest growing social media platforms in the world, and yeah, I mean you need to create value. And one of the use case that I really like about LinkedIn is that it's excellent source to learn about stuff.
Yes.
If you follow the right people. That's
100%.
That's a must, to follow the right people and that you get the right stuff. So yeah, I think
if you want to avoid yourself 10, 20 mistakes down the line, like follow the right people and probably you're going to get all the answers without Googling. I absolutely agree, Don. And I mean, you and your business partner in GrowTech is a very good source of nice information about everything sales that are always like, I shall like to say, science proof, and I for sure, like, I would have a million. I mean, I'm a big fan of Josh Brown, that you probably also follow. There are a million.
Yeah,
Be curious. Ask to me and Dom who should I follow? That's an easy question.
And right now on the LinkedIn, Carlo, like my co-founder and myself, we're sharing like our top 10, top 5, like sales operations, influencers on our LinkedIn account. So, you can just have everything in one place and there's a massive amount of good material there. Anyway, and let's say sales profession is like ever changing, right? Like new trends, new tools, new stuff like every week, every day. How do you keep up with everything? Like, do you have any, I don't know, like a resource platform, YouTube channel that you follow and you keep improving, keep learning yourself?
There are one thing I do is that I follow the right people, surely, Dom. So I do that, and I have a few people in my network that I call them actually, so not an issue. The tools guys, and they are more into things where I maybe have less knowledge. One of them was interviewed in this podcast. Is Cedric Charpenet. He's incredibly talented and knowledgeable about this. So I often really like asking his advice on everything tool. When it comes to technology, is a good advice comes not from technology, and that is to be always skeptical. Like, especially now that we are in the race of AI, there is a lot of fuss. So be skeptical. Try what you think is interesting. Try the tools. Many of them are out there. Just try them and see what helps you. Beware of big words, of long posts, of a lot of tags. Beware of the fuss. It's not easy to, more easy said than done, but that is what I would like to advise.
Okay. Yeah. And do you read books, for example? This is something that you do, right?
I do. This year is a very interesting year because I'm reading books that they're about psychology more than they are about sales, but they help. No, indeed. My go-to book that I recommend to everybody alive is The Challenger Sale. I mean, because it changed my life as a salesperson from relationship builder to top performer in Interactio. So, like, I owe to that book a lot of my sales career, and probably this year I'm focusing on psychology, not because of sales, because of personal development. The book I'm reading now is very interesting, and I would probably recommend that. It's called Nonviolent Communication by Professor Marshall, I guess is the name of the author. It's an American psychotherapist author. And I always advise to go and seek knowledge where other people are not looking. There are tons of sales books. And if you do a very nice research and if you ask people, they're going to refer very nice books. They're going to skip you reading a lot of trash. But sales is about people and about psychology and about communicating. And you can find interesting ideas about this everywhere. Literature, history, biographies, really, really like everything can enrich you as a person. So it's, yeah, that's also maybe why I love sales. So yeah, it keeps, you have to keep an open mind. You have to, everything is a source of learning. Everything can bring you to another place. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's one of the oldest professions in the world. So
It is. I think about the other, so this is why I'm laughing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think, Giovanni, we can wrap it up. So thank you very much, you know, for attending podcast and sharing your thoughts. So best of luck with your fractional venture, and how people can reach out to you. What is the easiest way to speak with you?
You can tell it.
LinkedIn.
Yes. probably LinkedIn, or LinkedIn, or you can shout very, very loud in the center of Vilnius. I live in Vilnius. If you shout my name correctly, I'm probably gonna hear you. So that's another way you can get to me. Yeah.
Okay. If I hear that, I know what they need. Okay.
Please.
I'll tell you.
Thanks, Dom. You are an incredible host, and I had a lot of fun. I hope everybody out there is having a nice journey in this wonderful profession called sales. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Ciao.